what are our distinctives? Well, we are evangelistic. We believe in preaching the gospel. We believe in what has become known as experiential Calvinism. In other words, the Bible affects the heart. We're to have Christian affections, communion with God, and the heart affects the hand, so we're to have Christian practice. Experiential simply means, or experimental just means practical Calvinism. So we're going to preach sound doctrine. We take theology seriously. Our preaching's not shallow or light, but the preaching will be applied. That's key. Without that, it's just a lecture. So it's the word applied to the heart, because Paul says this doctrine is unto godliness. And so that is, sadly, it's a distinctive. I wish it weren't, because it really should be normal across the board. But we have a lot of preaching fads where it's all redemptive historical, and we paint a lovely picture about Old Testament, New Testament, heaven, and everyone can go home and enjoy your lunch. But there's no application being made to the lives of Christians. So there's a problem. We're certainly not interested in that. We're Presbyterian in government, obviously pedobaptism. We hold to the fourth commandment seriously. We hold to the Westminster Confession of Faith without exception. And so what you find in the Westminster Confession and catechisms, we hold to as a church, and we expect of our members to uphold the fourth commandment as much as we expect them to uphold the seventh commandment or the eighth commandment. And that is a distinctive, again, sad to say. What I'm saying was just normal in American Presbyterianism until the last 50 years. You go back and read the Southern Presbyterians, and we're just right on with them, or Hodge and these guys in the 19th century. But today it seems that the fourth commandment gets a pass, even where churches confessionally hold to it, that they say, well, we believe this, but then it's not applied to the life, and the elders really wouldn't deal with breaches of the fourth commandment in their members, whereas in our church we do. So that would be a distinctive. We sing only from the Psalms, the book of Psalms, and we don't use musical instrumentation. That seems unusual to people today, but it's pretty plain, vanilla, old school Presbyterianism. I tell people in our community when they come into our church and they say, well, this is different. I say, well, this is just what all your forefathers would have had when they moved here, because that's the order of their worship. With regard to the Westminster standards, we don't hold to the American revision of the Westminster Confession. We hold to the original 17th century Confession of Faith. So that means we hold to what's called the establishment principle. We believe that it is the duty of the civil magistrate to promote true religion and suppress idolatry within his realm. That doesn't always fit with an American mindset, but basically the civil magistrate is not just to apply half the law, he's to apply all 10 of the commandments. We also believe, we subscribe to the Westminster Confession of Faith without exceptions. So all of our elders, deacons, and ministers, students for the ministry, licentiates, you know what they believe. There's no back doors, there's no wondering, does he have an exception here or there? We believe it all, otherwise we don't hold office in the church. And so, where would that be different? Like something like on chapter 25, the view of the papacy and the Antichrist, we hold to that. All of our ministers hold to that, our office bearers. So that would be probably different to many American churches. In terms of practice, one thing that came up is that we would teach 1 Corinthians 11. requires women to cover their head in public worship, and so that's different to people. It's not part of our constitution, it's just part of our discipling ministry, so you would expect to hear that preached and expect to see in our congregations that would be the practice with our ladies. I'm trying to go through these things quickly to give you opportunity to ask questions. I can't really think of any other key aspects to our distinctives, but why don't you ask whatever questions you have, and maybe some of these things will be teased out along the way. John.